And we are live.
Please rise as you are able. I now call this City Council meeting to order.
We acknowledge tonight that this meeting is taking place on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabeg people. Anishinaabeg include the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We're dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Please be seated. Okay, welcome to our special City Council meeting. There is only one item on tonight's agenda. I just want to remind everybody at the outset for the recording and those watching at home, Council is continuing to practice physical distancing for the time being due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Members of Council and the executive management team are participating via video conference. We do have members of staff available to answer questions if there are any on the one item on tonight's agenda. With that, we do have just the one direct motion on tonight's City Council agenda. It is moved by Councillor Aylwin and seconded by Councillor Riepma. Councillor Aylwin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. So it's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Riepma, that one, notwithstanding Business Licensing Bylaw 2006-266 as amended and the Patios Everywhere program, the following times be applied until November 30th, 2021 for patios located on municipal property. A, the hours that a person can enter or re-enter an outdoor area be extended from 10:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, 10:30 p.m. to 1:45 a.m. Friday and Saturday. And B, the hours that a person be permitted to remain in the outdoor area be extended from 11:15 p.m. to 12:15 a.m. Monday to Thursday, 11:15 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Paragraph 2, that all other regulations and bylaws, including no amplified sound on the patios after 11 p.m., continue to apply with the operation of the patios. 3, that non-compliance of municipal regulations and bylaws may result in permits being revoked or further conditions being added to the permits. And I can speak to that.
Okay, thank you. So this motion was printed on the agenda for tonight's special meeting. Go ahead, Councillor Aylwin.
Thanks. So this was brought forward by a group of downtown businesses spearheaded by Dustin Lee, the owner of Alley. As we all saw, they sent a letter and it was signed by a number of downtown businesses to request this change. As we know, many of our small local businesses have had a rough year, and this is one small way that we can support them. So the effect of the motion is to extend the period of time that patios can remain open, particularly on Friday and Saturday nights, but to keep the noise bylaw provisions in place, to recognize that we have received some complaints about noise from people living in and around the downtown and near patios. And so I think this strikes the right balance. And I'd like to thank all those business owners for coming forward and thank Mayor Lehman for calling the special meeting and having that sense of urgency. And I know there are some amendments coming as well. So thank you to all of you who put in that work.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Owen. I will call for amendments. Are there amendments? Councillor McCann.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. I simply would just like to extend the time from Thursday and Sunday on long weekends. So would you like me to read the whole amendment, or is that sufficient?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay, that notwithstanding business licenses by bylaw 2006-266 as amended, and the Patios Everywhere program, the following times be applied until November 30th, 2021 for patios located on municipal property. A, the hours that a person can enter or re-enter the outdoor area be extended from 10:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Thursday to 10:30 a.m. to from 10:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. So I'm just reading Wendy's notes here. Monday to Thursday, and 10:30 p.m. to 1:45 a.m. Thursday, and on Sundays of the long weekend. The hours that a person can be permitted to, B, the hours that a person can be permitted to remain in the outdoor area be extended from 11:15 to 12:15 a.m. Monday to Thursday, 11 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. That all other regulations and bylaw, including no amplified sound on the patios after 11 p.m., continue to apply with the operations of the patios. Number 3, that non-compliance of municipal regulations and bylaws could result in permits being revoked or further conditions being added to the permits. And I guess I should have also let you know, Mayor Lehman, that the BIA chair and Councilor Morales were be my seconder.
Okay, so just for clarity, I think there was the language in there was Monday to Thursday, but your intent is extend by an hour Monday to Wednesday, and then the Thursday night gets the later hours. Is that correct, Councilor McCann?
It gets extended to 1:30, and obviously any long weekend that we have, which probably will be one, will include Sunday as well.
Okay, so Sunday of the long weekend, and now I guess would be Labor Day weekend and Thanksgiving, since we're doing this through to November 30th. If anyone's still open, and I expect they will be. Okay, so the amendment that's on the floor, members of council, is to allow the later hours on Thursday nights and Sundays of a long weekend. Go ahead, Councilor McCann, on the amendment.
You know, there's nothing really further more to say. I mean, I'd like to keep this short. I'd like to call the vote as soon as possible. I think I can read everyone's mind that this is either you're in favor, you're not in favor of it. Doesn't take too much rocket science. So I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to ask that, Mayor Lehman, but I'd like to call the vote.
Well, I think some people might like to comment, and I do know that there are some members of council who'd like to separate those items, Councilor McCann. So what we'll do is vote on the two separately, because I believe there are a number who are in favor of one but not the other. So we will, members of council, vote on the amendment in two parts, but I will call any comments on the amendment. Anybody wish to speak to the amendment? Okay, Councillor Kungl, and then Councillor Deputy Mayor Ward.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll just speak to it briefly so people understand why I'll be voting no to the amendment. While I do support the extension of the hours, I was trying to recall if we didn't have the same conversation last year, but I would be looking to table a different amendment should this fail that does remove the Thursdays only, considering that the two long weekends we have do touch a stat holiday on the Mondays. So in consideration of those that are working in the downtown area that could be affected by a Thursday night extension, I would support the motion if it was reframed to be just the Friday, Saturday, and Sundays of the long weekends, omitting the Thursdays. Okay,
so just to keep things simple tonight, we'll just vote on them separately. So members of council can speak to it right now. You can speak to, the Thursday or the Sunday night thing, but we will vote separately so that you're able to do that. You can vote in favor of both, in favor of only one, or in favor of neither. Deputy Mayor Ward, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. Just a question for Councillor McCann. Just make clear in my mind, because it says 10:30 to 1:45 Thursday to Saturday and Sundays of long weekend. So would it be all Thursdays or only Thursdays of long weekends?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ward. And I don't have Wi-Fi, and I'm up north, so I'm kind of going on the amendment that was put towards later this afternoon. But I'd like all Thursdays moving forward, and the only variation will be Sundays of a long weekend,
Okay,
which Mayor Lehman mentioned that there'd be 2 before the snow comes.
okay, thank you. Clarification, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Deputy Mayor Ward. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will support this motion. I think it's important that we support our business community as best we can. This has been very unique, challenging times. And quite evidently, Councillor Irwin has seen that this has worked, because he was quite against this when we discussed this matter back in June, when we passed this initial motion to get us to where we are today. And with that, I would anticipate that most of our colleagues around the table would see that these businesses do need our help, and these extra few days will be of great assistance to them, especially as the September hits. The Thursdays are a particularly busy time in our downtown, and I think too, from a public health perspective, it's been proven that being out on a patio, out in open air, is a heck of a lot safer than it is being indoors. I'll leave my comments to that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Councillor Harvey, any other comments? Councillor Morales, and then Councillor Elwin, then Councillor Natalie Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. I'll be supportive of the amendment. I tried to be a little bit more observant beginning with the amendment. I heard Councillor Congal's comments about for those workers that would be affected on a Thursday. I don't really know what that means. So I'd welcome input from anybody who can speak to specific concerns about Thursday, because it's nice to say concerns, but if there's no further elaboration or explanation that can provide clarity to members of council who might kind of be on the fence about one specific date, otherwise I'll be supportive of this amendment. I guess my comments will say is this is a unique amendment to a unique situation. So to those business owners, we have your backs. But at the same time, once things normalize, and we're talking 6, 12, 18 months into the future, we're going to have a more wholesome discussion about what the permanent bylaw should be. So I don't want people to be thinking that whatever amendment passes tonight, this is the new standard moving forward. So that's a wholesome discussion in the future. So I just want to set expectations realistic. But as Councillor Harvey said, whatever we can do in the meantime that's reasonable, I'm more than happy to support, and this amendment captures that.
Thanks, Councillor Morales. Councillor Irwin.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. I will support the provision to have Sundays on weekends. However, I won't be supporting the Thursday night provision, and here's why. And I don't want to speak for Councillor Kungal, but I think Councillor Morales, what she may have been speaking to, and what I've heard as the downtown councillor, is that there are people who live in the downtown. I've heard from someone on Collier. I've heard from some people on Dunlop Street. I've heard from some people in the condo building at 2 Bayfield Street that some of the noise is disruptive, and people have to work on Friday, a weekday. And so a Thursday night may be a bit too disruptive, but that a Friday and Saturday late night patio is just fine. So I'm willing to support that halfway with the Sunday. It's a good provision. And just to set the record straight, it was Councillor Morales and I who moved the motion to extend patio hours previously. So I was very supportive then, and I'm very supportive now. Thank you.
Councillor Natalie Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. Sorry, I was having technical issues, so I only have my Zoom on my phone right now, but I'm not sure if I missed this question already. Did we have any complaints coming in about the noise through the city? I love that Councillor Irwin shared that information too, but to staff as well for the Thursdays, have we had complaints coming in?
I will go to, I guess, Ms. McAlpine, Ms. Banfield provided us that information, I think, in an email. Is Ms. Banfield on the call? I don't see her, but she may be in the background.
She is here.
Okay. We'll get Ms. Banfield to answer that question. Ms. Banfield, what complaints have been received?
Through you, Mayor Lehman, to all members of council, the complaints were quite limited to approximately 2 or 3 both last year actually and this year. And we did not have during the pilot program or a bit earlier this year where we did have those extended hours. We didn't have complaints at that time, but we have had some complaints, as Councillor Aylwin suggested, relatively recently, once the hours returned to the 11:15.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I missed that email. I did see the information about the BIA businesses. So I still like to listen a little bit more. I'm sort of on the fence, to be honest, because I do see and respect that it's Councillor Aylwin's ward. So he's had obviously the most personal request to not have Thursdays. So I'm just going to listen to the conversation more.
Okay, those who haven't spoken, since we are in council, Councillor Riepma, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was very happy to second the motion as it stands. I don't think we should be supporting the Thursday nights because I think that in the downtown area, we have people living there and it just creates more complications. I think we've had a really good run. We've been able to support our restaurateurs and our businesses and the people that work there over the summer so far, and it's gone relatively well. I'm reluctant to expand it to Thursday night. I think that adding the 2 Sundays for our long weekends, I'm quite open to that. But I think we should be sticking with where we are. I also saw that we got a memo from the BIA, and they were supportive of the original motion as well. And so I'm a bit reluctant to expand it beyond what the BIA and the restaurateurs in that area have asked for.
Thanks, Councillor Riepma. Councillor Thompson, did I see you? No, Councillor Jim Harris, go ahead.
Great, thank you, Mayor Lehman. Maybe a question through you to Ms. Banff, just to clarify on the issue of complaints. You know, in going through the email, there wasn't a lot there as far as complaints. And just obviously, there's a history of complaints, I'm sure, with relation to downtown and noise and activities as such. Is the rate of complaints any different than in previous years, in prior iterations of rules and regulations that govern the downtown, or are they really much in line with what we've seen over the course of, you know, operating a multiple of facilities that are, you know, of this nature in the downtown core?
Ms. Banfield.
Through you, Mayor Lehman, to Councillor Harris. So ultimately, the Patios Everywhere program came under Development Services just in 2021. So the complaints that I told you about in that email or and even this evening were really dedicated to the Patios Everywhere program. Perhaps someone that like Ms. McAlpine or someone that has that longer history can kind of share whether it's new or old, but certainly my experience is that we haven't had that many complaints.
Let us consult Encyclopedia McAlpina. Don.
Mayor Lehman, through you to Councillor Harris. And I'll let Ms. Cook speak if there's something more recent. I think the important note here is the complaints in this case are for people or for businesses operating after the Patio Everywhere hours resumed to their normal time frame. So some of those noise complaints were generated by people operating after the permitted hours with amplified sound in some cases, as I understand it. In the past, prior to the limitations on the number of hours, there were concerns. They have been reduced more recently, but I would refer to Ms. Cook if she has anything further to add from her more recent experience.
Ms. Cook, last word.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman, and thank you, Ms. McAlpine. Just from our recent experience from last summer, we did have a number of complaints specifically related to one business in the downtown with respect to noise and operating outside, because the hours haven't changed under the Patios Everywhere program. The hours are the same under the licensing bylaw. So with respect to that, the complaints are pretty much the same over the last couple of years.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Lehman. Thank you, Ms. McAlpine, Ms. Cook, and Ms. Banfield. Appreciate the effort. Yeah, so I think the answer to my question, I was just trying to get a sense of what's the history of concerns related to downtown, and correcting if just the recognition that in the amendment the potential for that noise, amplified sound, is not being permitted at the extended hours. Am I correct in that understanding?
That's correct. Which
would be the primary concern for people who are impacted potentially by this. Okay, so thank you very much. I have my questions answered. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Harris. Councillor Thompson, you'll be last to speak.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. I'll be very brief. I appreciate the spirit in both the motion and the amendment. I just think that we're complicating things. I think we need to let the market determine when they can stay open. I think of a business that's on the south side, and they've never had a complaint with amplified noise and stuff. And if Thursdays don't work for the business, they won't stay open. So I think council should just allow them the maximum time and hopefully the maximum amount of money, and try to get them out of this, really, really bad time for our restaurants.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Thompson. Everybody's had a chance to speak, so I would like to call the question. Councillor McCann, you did speak to your amendment when you introduced it.
Okay, I thought I declined speaking on it, so.
Sorry, pardon me, Councillor McCann?
I said I declined to speak when you asked me to speak. I read the motion, but I didn't actually speak to the amendment.
No, that's fair. You actually did say that. No, I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. Just listening to, sorry, I've got a truck passing here. Just listening to council, I just want to put maybe some perspective here that there is no, just going on and peppering on Councillor Harris's comments about the amplified music. If there's no amplified music past 11:15, like, how is anybody going to be complaining about these businesses staying open? And let's be honest, guys, the restaurant industry has done enough. Like, the province has shut them down. The country has shut them down. Waitresses, bartenders, bar owners have been out of work. And we're saying, because of a few complaints put by City of Barrie, right? That's one side of the equation. But the other side of the equation is tens of thousands of dollars that may not be made per business. And how many people are expecting to work on a Thursday night that are relying on that money, who are waitresses and bartenders, or they're bouncers, or they work in that industry? And we're saying no, because we want to minimize the risk so much that it's going to strangle the financial capabilities of these people. So guys, like, we're back in council in 3 weeks. If all of a sudden we get so many complaints, we can reverse this. But let's give the bar owners and the restaurants a chance to succeed and vote in favor. And to me, it's just, we're really minimizing our risk because there's no amplified sound. So without sounding redundant, I would love for everybody to support our businesses, support our downtown, and our risk is not that large. So please vote in favor of a Thursday night and vote in favor of Sundays on long weekends, please. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor McCann. Just before I call the vote myself, I am actually going to support both. I'm reluctant to ignore the concerns of the ward councillor, because, and I'm not. I think there are people who work at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. They're not going to appreciate the noise from people leaving the establishments, being outside on the patios. With respect, amplified music, of course, should not be allowed, but that's not the only source of noise. Between midnight and 2 a.m., there's not a lot of eating going on. There's a lot more drinking going on, and that does make a lot more noise. And for those people who have to get up and work in whatever job they're working on at 9 a.m. on a Friday, they don't need to be kept up till 3 a.m. That being said, that didn't happen. Or if it did happen, and I think it probably did, we didn't get complaints about it. And I think that's a fair question from Councillor Jim Harris. And I think it's a fair point that if we do start to get a lot of complaints from people, then we will have the opportunity in only 2 weeks to change this. So I'm going to support it for now. I will call the question on the two amendments separately, or the two parts of the amendment. So I will call the question first on the Thursday nights, adding the Thursday nights, the later hours. Those in favor, please indicate.
Point of order for a second, Your Worship.
Yes, Councillor Harvey.
I was just wondering, with this being a public meeting, and you had said that a member of council had requested these to be separated, should that request not be done publicly?
Sorry, I was doing that as chair of the meeting, Councillor Harvey.
Oh, okay, fair enough. The way you worded it, I thought it was a member of council that had asked.
I was only because I was aware there were some members per their comments that they made later, but I was aware that there were some that were concerned about that because they'd indicated they might amend the amendment. And this was a quicker way to handle it procedurally, just to call the question separately.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so those in favor of Thursday nights, please indicate. I am as well. That makes it unanimous. And I'm going to guess Sunday nights of a long weekend, not a problem, but I'll call the question as well. Those in favor of Sunday nights of a long weekend? I am as well. So that is unanimous on the main motion as amended. Anything further? Okay, I'll call the question. Those in favor of the motion as amended? I am as well, and that is unanimous. So those are the new rules for patios in the downtown. And I should stress, for those watching, because it didn't come up during the discussion, this is only for patios on municipally licensed property, because that is where or municipally owned property, that is where we have the jurisdiction. Where other establishments, have patios on their property, they are governed by Ontario's liquor license laws, and so those decisions are made by the province. I just want to reiterate that because CTV asked me that tonight as well. Okay, with that, I will move to inquiries. Thank you, members council. Thank you for those who brought forward both the issue and the amendments, the original motion and the amendments. On inquiries of staff, Deputy Mayor Ward.
I have none.
Do you have any inquiries? No. Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
Just because everybody loves inquiries on an emergency meeting in the summer, if I through you, Mayor Lehman, to Mr. Miller.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know if he was on.
He's here. Yep, go ahead.
I think this question is in your department of procurement. I was just wondering where the permanent speed humps are along the process. I've had a couple people reach out and stuff, and we're getting a little bit late in the season. So I was just wondering if you'd be able to tell me where that is.
Through you, Mayor Liam, to Councillor Thompson. I do not have that information in front of me.
Mr. Friery might. Is Mr. Friery on the call?
I do apologize, Mr. Miller. I just I was rushing and I meant to reach out to you prior, but
I see Ms. Miller's got her camera on.
Mayor Lehman, that will be under development services, and so Ms. Banfield can give you an update with respect to the timing of the speed humps.
Okay, Ms. Banfield.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Lehman, to Councillor Thompson. So the RFP has just been finalized, and I actually just had a call this morning. We'll be reaching out to council very shortly, probably within, well, not today, but tomorrow, very, very shortly, with the proposed locations for the permanent speed humps. So very timely question. You'll be hearing from me very, very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Jim Harris, did I see you indicate?
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. I also just curious, and I'm not sure exactly who to direct this to, Mayor Lehman, but it relates to an update. We had a very interesting discussion back in June with members of our hockey and ice sports community, and the connection to the plans for the vaccination clinics. I see Ms. McAlpine popping up, so she may have answered my question. Thank you, Ms. McAlpine. So just wondering, and I live pretty close to the rec center. I saw a lot of hockey players and hockey bags and people in the parking lot and getting ready for the hockey season. So I just wondered if you could give an update, if that's reasonable, on how those plans for the vaccination clinic and the potential impact on the hockey community and ice sports community has progressed over the last month and a bit.
Timely question, Councillor Harris, because the last day of the clinics was Friday. Ms. McAlpine, go ahead. Or the clinic, I should be clear. Go ahead, Ms. McAlpine.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. Through you to Councillor Harris. Yes, the last day of the mass immunization clinic at the Holly Community Center was on Thursday, and we are building ice in that area, and we assisted the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit to move their supplies warehousing depot from the East Bayfield Community Center to 29 Sperling Drive earlier in August. And we have been building ice at East Bayfield. However, it's a more challenging site to build ice at. So we're hoping that all 8 rinks ice pads will be available for September 1, as long as the weather doesn't get much hotter.
That's great news. Thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody's effort to reach that goal of, encouraging our ice sports community that, that they could plan as they needed to, and also support our vaccination effort, which is critical. So, and thank you. I want to give credit to Mayor Lehman, who kind of said, hey guys, we can do this, and here's the way to do it. So good to hear that we're able to do both. And thank you again to staff for hearing our community's concern, and to council as well for doing that. That was greatly appreciated. I know that community is really happy. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Harris. Yeah, I received a number of messages as well, even one today. So I know the community is appreciative that the changes were made, and that the situation was able to be resolved in the way that it was. And if it gets any hotter, Ms. McAlpine, the windows are going to start melting in our arenas. So let's just hope that doesn't happen. I hope we're done with that. Any other inquiries of staff? Okay, seeing none. Announcements. Deputy Mayor Ward, do you have any announcements?
I have none.
Okay, any members of council have announcements? Councillor Kungle.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a quick recognition announcement. So on the heels of the conversation with the vaccine clinics, and as the mass vaccine clinics have closed and there'll be a different approach to pop-ups and back to school, I do want to take a moment to recognize a Barrie resident that supported a lot of onboarding of all the volunteers across Simcoe Muskoka. So Renee is, I think, responsible for probably onboarding and orientating and supporting the management of over half of the 550 volunteers that did support our Simcoe Muskoka vaccine clinics. And so this is a shout out to that Barrie resident around the role that she played. And as that winds down, a bit of public recognition. If I could hand out a Spirit Catcher award, I tell you I would. So I just wanted to make that point of recognition.
Thanks very much, Councillor Kungle. Councillor Natalie Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. I think maybe you're going to do this announcement. I will take it away for you. Tomorrow is International Overdose Awareness Day, and we will be meeting a large group of people, including Ryan's Hope and Honor, which is organized by Christine Naylor, Ryan's mom. We're meeting in the parking lot of the Salvation Army, just across from the bus terminal at 8:30. And wait a second, is it 8:30, Mayor Lehman? Can you confirm? I can't look at my phone because I'm on it right now.
Oh, not sure when the meetup at the Salvation Army is. At the flag raising scheduled for 10 o'clock. That's when I'm meeting everyone.
Okay, so the meetup is at 9:30.
Might be 9:30, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to make that wrong. Okay, so 9:30, and then we're walking over to City Hall to do the flag raising, flag lowering, and then after we will be having a memorial at Meridian Place in the evening as well. So you can just go on to barrie.ca and find out more information, but please join us.
Thanks very much, Councillor Harris, and we'll certainly see you in the courtyard tomorrow at 10 o'clock for the flag lowering ceremony. You're correct about that, yeah. So any other announcements, members of council? Councillor Owen, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lehman. We still have some summer left, and that means that Open Air Dunlop is happening this long weekend, the Labor Day weekend, and it's happening Friday and Saturday. So I hope we'll see you down there, support our local businesses safely, and enjoy our beautiful downtown. See you there.
Thanks, Councillor Owen. Any other announcements, members of council? Well, that took care of 2 of the 4 that I had, and the other 2 are road construction began this summer on Mapleview Drive East between Madeline and Young to lay the groundwork for future development and accommodate the traffic volumes we're already seeing there. Delays are, of course, expected and experienced. Please take alternate routes, and there is more information at barrie.ca/roadwork. Similarly, as the construction of the Ann Street Bridge continues, reminder Ann Street's closed from Edge Hill to Donald, and there is a free Barrie Transit shuttle at stops on either side of the bridge. Again, barrie.ca/roadwork. The other announcement is that the deadline to participate in the online survey polling residents on road safety and speed changes in the city the deadline is tomorrow. That survey is up until tomorrow, August 31st. Feedback received from the survey and the map of areas where folks are suggesting changes will be incorporated into a staff report in the fall that will consider future traffic calming initiatives, potential areas for speed reductions, and other road safety programs or initiatives. So for those watching, please do participate in the survey. It is often the thing that we members of council get the most number of emails and concerns about in town hall meetings and from residents is local traffic, speeding, and road safety. With that, members of council, a reminder, our general committee and council cycle will resume for the fall sitting on September the 13th. Labor Day is late this year, it's the 6th. So our first meeting will be Monday, September 13th. And with that, I will ask the Deputy Mayor for the confirmation bylaw.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Thompson, that leave be granted to introduce the following bill, and this bill be read a first, second, and third time this day and finally passed. Bill 72.
Thank you. And of course, I moved on the cheat sheet here. So it is moved by Deputy Mayor. You'd think I'd know the confirmation bylaw by now. It's moved by Deputy Mayor Ward, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Leave be granted to introduce the following bill, and this bill be read a first, second, and third time this day and finally passed. It's Bill 72. That's what I needed to remember. Comments or questions? Seeing none, those in favor, please indicate. Nobody is opposed. That carries unanimously. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Jim Harris, seconded by Councillor Gary Harvey. Thank you all, and we will see you in 2 weeks for General Committee. Enjoy the rest of the summer, everyone.
Yes, have a good summer.